The snow had been falling since noon, soft and relentless, blanketing the streets of Milford, Vermont, into something that looked almost sacred. Tom Harley wiped his hands on a shop rag, locked up the garage, and stood for a moment in the cold air before walking the 3 blocks home. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments where in the world are you watching from. He was 34 years old, and his hands were always stained with grease, no matter how hard he scrubbed them. He had stopped being embarrassed about that a long time ago. There were things that mattered more. Tonight was one of them. He pushed open the front door of the small house on Elm Street and found his daughter, Lily, already dressed in her red wool coat, her dark hair brushed into 2 careful pigtails, sitting on the couch with her hands folded in her lap like she'd been waiting for a very long time. She had been. She was 7 years old, and she had the serious, patient eyes of someone who had already learned that the world required a certain kind of endurance. "Ready, Bug?" Tom asked. Lily nodded. "Mom liked this coat," she said, and Tom swallowed hard and said she did. She picked it out herself. They walked together through the snow to Rosario's, the Italian place on the corner of Main and 2nd that had red check tablecloths and candles in wine bottles, and a waiter named Gerald, who always brought bread without being asked. It was not an expensive restaurant, but it was warm, and it smelled like garlic and butter. And 3 years ago, before the cancer took her, Claire Harley had said it was her favorite place in the world. Tonight would have been her 33rd birthday. Tom had promised Lily they would come here every year on this night. Order Claire's favorite, the mushroom risotto and the house red, though Lily had sparkling water instead, and talk about her. They sat at the table by the window and the snow kept falling outside, and Gerald brought the bread, and Tom let Lily talk as long as she wanted. She talked about how her mother used to sing, off-key in the car, and how she smelled like lavender, and how she once found a baby bird and kept it in a shoebox for a week until it flew away. Tom listened to every word with the full weight of his attention, his big mechanic's hands wrapped around a glass, his eyes steady and gentle on his daughter's face. He did not check his phone. He did not look around the room. He was entirely, completely present in a way that people almost never are. He had no idea he was being watched. Across the restaurant, at a corner table half hidden by a decorative partition, a young woman named Serena Voss sat alone with a glass of wine and a book she had not opened. She was 28, the daughter of a tech billionaire, and she had come to Vermont for a weekend to escape the noise of New York. She had money she had inherited, and money she had grown, and a foundation she had built to direct it, somewhere meaningful. She spent her days reading applications and making decisions about other people's futures, and sometimes she wondered if any of it was real. Then she watched Tom Harley listen to his daughter talk about a dead woman's singing voice, and something settled inside her like sediment dropping through still water. She did not approach them. She asked Gerald for their check, paid it quietly, and left before they finished their dessert. But she had taken note of the mechanic's name from a detail she overheard, and the next morning she called her foundation's director and asked her to do something discreet. Within 2 weeks, a letter arrived at the Harley house from an anonymous education trust, stating that a full scholarship had been established in the name of Lily Claire Harley, available when she was ready for secondary school, and expandable through university and beyond. There was no name attached. There was only a single line at the bottom that read, "For a girl who is clearly loved." Tom read the letter 4 times sitting at the kitchen table, and then he put his head down and cried in the way men sometimes cry when they have been holding everything up for so long and someone, without warning, offers to help carry the weight. Lily grew up knowing she had been given a gift but not knowing from whom. It became a kind of quiet mystery she carried with her, one that made her believe in the possibility of human goodness even on the days when the world offered evidence to the contrary. She attended Whitfield Academy on a full scholarship at 13, studied biology with a passion that surprised even her professors, and eventually completed her doctorate in pediatric immunology at Johns Hopkins. She spent her career working on immune deficiency disorders in children, the kind of work that doesn't make headlines, but quietly saves lives in hospital rooms and research labs across the country. 23 years after that snowy dinner at Rosario's, Lily Harley stood at a podium at an immunology conference in Boston and, in the middle of a talk about her research trajectory, told the story of that letter. She described growing up with a father who showed her what love looked like, a mother she knew only through stories, and an unknown stranger whose generosity had redirected the entire course of her life. She did not know, as she spoke, that Serena Voss was sitting in the fourth row of the auditorium. Serena had come to the conference for unrelated reasons, had seen the name in the program, and had felt a quiet pull she could not explain until Lily began to speak. She sat perfectly still and listened to the life she had helped make possible unfold in real time, told in the voice of a woman who had no idea she was in the room. Serena did not stand up. She did not introduce herself after the talk. She slipped out quietly the way she had slipped out of Rosario's all those years ago, and she stood for a moment in the hallway and pressed her hand flat against the wall and breathed. She thought about her foundation and the thousands of applications she had read and all the decisions that felt abstract and administrative. She thought about how sometimes goodness moves through the world in ways you never get to witness. And then, very quietly, she thought, I got to witness this one. One act of kindness in a snowstorm. One little girl in a red coat. One life that became many saved lives. The snow always falls somewhere. The question is only whether we are paying enough attention to notice who is sitting in the cold. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel Kindness True Stories, where we celebrate the quiet moments of human goodness that remind us what we are capable of.